Hey everybody, it's the Daily Schmooze for Friday, July the 14th, 2023. The weekend is here. We've made it to the end of the week. I sure did. I mean, it's day 4 of the renovations, and the kitchen still looks like a war zone. But like I told you the other day, I try to stay away from all that. Um, in fact, I went in yesterday after the guys left and just to get something out of the refrigerator. Well, they have all this plastic in the doorway and, covering up everything. And I got stuck in the plastic. I couldn't get out of the damn kitchen. So I figured, well, I better stay out of there. That's probably the best thing to do at this point until they're done. Now, you hear the song Summer Breeze in the background because that's my favorite summer song of all. Whenever I hear the song, I think it's summertime. I mean, you don't play this song around Christmas, do you? No. Yeah, hear it. This is a summer song, and it's my favorite. They had a licensed psychologist on the news yesterday talking about why people like certain songs during certain times of the year. And her thing was, well, in the summertime, because people are out and about, they're going to the beach, they're going to amusement parks, they're going to concerts, they're going to ball games. People are happier. And they like upbeat songs, happy songs. Well, duh, it doesn't take a licensed psychologist for me to figure out that that's true. I don't. Anyway, think of all the cool summer songs. Now, I don't know too much of the modern stuff. I don't really listen to the radio because I don't really like the music out there. But I remember a lot of classic summer songs. You remember "Summer in the City" by the Lovin' Spoonful? That's a great summer song. Chad and Jeremy's a summer song, and Martha and the Vandellas, Dancing in the Streets, Heat Wave. Those are two great summer songs. So I think a lot of the summer songs, Cruel Summer by Bananarama, a lot of the summer songs that I like and I grew up with were like from 60s, 70s, 80s. So I don't know if they're writing new summer songs or not, but it's interesting, isn't it? You always think of one song every summer that defines that summer. And maybe it had something special to do with your summer, right? Uh, Maybe you were on vacation or you had a summer crush or summer love, and that song just played all summer on the radio, and it just defined that summertime. And so that's the cool thing about it. You know, um, what else is going on in the world? Well, I forgot to mention yesterday when I was on the Daily Schmooze that yesterday was the 38th anniversary of Live Aid. And if you guys remember, Live Aid were the two big concerts. One was at Wembley Stadium in London, and the other was right here at old JFK Stadium in Philadelphia. And it was a fundraiser thing for Africa, for a famine in Africa. And that's the great thing about that time when I was growing up in the 80s, 70s, 80s. They had these mega concerts. Well, it started in Woodstock in the in 1969. But then, in the 80s, it just seemed like there was a lot of activism in the 80s. So it was just such a cool decade. And and so they Bob Geldorf, who was one of the Boomtown Rats, uh, organized this concert, this Live Aid, July 13th, 1985. And what I remember about it was I didn't go to the concert, uh, but I remember watching it. I remember I had to work part time that Saturday. It was a Saturday afternoon. And I remember the weather here near Philadelphia was steaming hot, just kind of like it is today. Muggy, hot, a typical Philadelphia summer day. And I remember watching a lot of the concert. And what struck me was, I mean, not only was it cool, the various artists who were there played three or four songs, they just kept it moving. And they went from London to Philly, London to Philly, London to Philly. It's amazing because there were hosts introducing these artists. And Jack Nicholson would come out. He was in Philadelphia and would say, and here's Bob Dylan, or Chevy Chase, who was big at the time. You know, he would come out and introduce somebody. And it was just a fun event. There were like 100,000 people crammed into old JFK Stadium, which is no longer there, by the way. On that site where this Live Aid occurred, the Wells Fargo Center is standing there. That's where the 76ers and the Flyers play. And but that was crammed with 100,000 people. And like I said, it was so hot they were watering people down, with hoses, and it was just a crazy, crazy event. There's so many memorable performances that I remember. Queen's performance, they call it the the greatest 20 minutes in rock and roll history, because Queen had been away for a while or had been laying low, and then they came back for Live Aid in London. And there's that iconic scene of Freddie Mercury, the great legendary Freddie Mercury, in front of all these people at Wembley. And they're clapping along with them and singing with them. And they just did a killer set. That was a remarkable memory. I remember toward the end of Live Aid in Philadelphia, there was Mick Jagger and Tina Turner, who recently passed away, singing together, doing State of Shock, and it's only rock and roll, but I love it. But I like it. Well, uh, that was a memory. I remember Phil Collins singing with Sting in London, and that with Dire Straits and Elton John and George Michael together. And Phil Collins was the guy who took a Concorde. He played London in the morning, took the Concorde, came over to Philly, and showed up late afternoon Philadelphia time and did a set in Philadelphia. I mean, whatever you think of Phil Collins, you got to give him credit for that. It was just, and it was shown on MTV all day long. And then ABC had it on during prime time, like 3 hours worth. And now you could get the CDs, the DVDs, and watch the concert. What is remarkable too is the artists who didn't show up for Live Aid. Some were on the promotional posters, like Billy Joel. He couldn't get his band together. Huey Lewis and the News, who were hot at the time, they were scheduled to play, and then they found out that something. They had a problem with where the money was going that was being raised from Live Aid, so they pulled out at the last minute. Uh, it was amazing how many. Bruce Springsteen was supposed to play, but he ended up he didn't for whatever reason. Uh, Michael Jackson did not play Live Aid, but plenty of people did. I mean, Paul McCartney was in London. He did Let It Be, and it was just such a memorable concert. I wish we had big events like that again. Now how cool would that be, right? Um, so 38 years ago, Live Aid. What else is going on? Oh, well, you've heard about the actors' strike. The writers have been on a strike a little while. Now the actors have joined them. So as of now, everything is shut down in Hollywood. TV shows, movie productions, things like no more red carpets. And it's hitting at a big time because the summer season, the movie season is in full swing. Summer blockbusters, and but none of it's going on. The promotions are stopped. So whatever the issues are, I wish them luck. I mean, I think it's going to be a while. That's my take because I heard Fran Drescher is the head of SAG, and she was saying, yesterday, uh, how much money these movie companies and movie studios and TV networks are making, and they're not passing enough down to the actors and the other people who make the films and the TV shows and the writers. But they interviewed Bob Iger or whatever, the head of Disney, and he said, no, 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 no. So this is unacceptable, So I think it's going to go on a while. So that might halt your TV, the new season of shows in the fall may be delayed. Uh, Now you'll get your summer, your movies now. They've already been made. Barbie and all these other movies that are supposed to come up for the rest of the summer. What may be delayed is the next year's movies, next summer. Uh, that may be pushed off a little bit because of the strikes. I don't know. Let's see what happens. To me, I think it's going to last a long time. So we'll see. We'll have to find other means of entertainment, or watch reruns. I don't know. Um, Today is July 14th, which there's a whole list of special things for this day. It's Bastille Day in France, Vive la France. And to go along with that, it's National French Fry Day. How about that? I don't know if they planned that, but French Fry Day on Bastille Day. How about that? Um, and of course, they wanted to make French Fry Day on a Friday. Get it? Friday. Um, I don't eat too many French fries anymore. They're not good for me. But once in a while, I'll eat them. And, the McDonald's, Burger King, they're okay. Uh, French fries are really good, but they're different. Yeah, you got the crinkly kind, the shoestring fries. I don't like too much on my French fries. Uh, Not even ketchup. I think ketchup is okay. Just nice and crispy and warm, and that's they're good. Some people, to each his own. They put on a lot of shit, a lot of glop, mayonnaise and sauce, and who needs all that, right? I mean, just eat the French fries the way they are. Anyway, and it's National Nude Day. Nude. You're not going to find that here from me. I don't want to dissuade people tuning in. I appreciate you tuning in and watching this. And so we're not going to do anything nude unless Bud walks in. But of course, Bud doesn't wear any clothes. So that may be the closest to nudity that we get on the show. So, but there's a lot of things going on. What else is happening here? Oh, we heard about the tragic, the results from the autopsy from Lisa Marie Presley are in, and it's a shame. She died. She was only 54, still young, like her dad, like Elvis. And she died from what they're saying it complications from a weight loss surgery that she had a while ago, a small bowel obstruction. And now apparently they had warned her that this could be a side effects, byproduct of the surgery. And she had been complaining the day before she passed on that she was having abdominal pain. What surprised me was I never thought that Lisa Marie Presley had a weight problem. that she would resort to a surgery. I don't, I don't really think of her as being overweight. Do you? I don't know. I just can't picture it. But anyway, that's what happened to her. Apparently, there was some dispute too about Elvis's estate. I mean, when Elvis died, apparently everything went to Lisa Marie. And now what happens? Does it go to Lisa Marie's daughter? What about Priscilla? You know, it's a shame, because money does crazy things. We talked earlier this week about the Aretha Franklin estate and that situation. And luckily that's been resolved by a court. But there's a lot of hard feelings, that result. And when you get money involved in something, that's all bets are off there. So, the other thing is India. I just heard that India sent up a rocket to the moon. India is in the space race. Apparently, they sent a rocket up to the dark side of the moon, like Pink Floyd, to the other side of the moon with hopes of maybe landing a guy on the moon or something soon, within the next couple of years. I was a little surprised to hear that. I don't keep up with the space race that closely, but I know, of course, we are up there, and the Soviet Union's up there, Russia and China. But I was a little surprised when I heard that India is in the game. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, well, good, cobras. I can't stand cobras. Cobras, any kind of snake, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with snakes. And I mean, to me, if they start shooting up rockets up into space, they could send every freaking cobra in India up there and let them go on the moon. I don't know, but I'm not a big cobra fan. It scared the hell out of me. Anyway, so I was a little surprised at that India is in the space race there. I guess the final thing I want to say is, I'm a big Beatles fan, and there's always news about the Beatles. So on this program, periodically you're going to get updates about what the Beatles are doing, what to look for in Beatleland, what's coming out, that sort of thing. And the Beatles have been pretty active lately. Of course, it's been the summertime, and both Paul had a birthday, 81, and Ringo just had a birthday, 83. And Ringo especially looks great. He's fit, he's energetic, apparently, and he looks great for his age. And he's still on tour with his all-star band. But Paul is really busy. Now, did you hear about the news that there's a new Beatles song coming out by the end of the year? Apparently, Yoko Ono gave Paul a tape that John Lennon made before he died in his apartment in New York. Another song, the Beatles, Paul did the same thing with George and Ringo back in the late 90s. They found, Yoko gave them a tape, and they got John's voice out of the tape, and they added their own music and voices, and it became two songs, Free as a Bird and Real Love, which were great songs. I like Real Love a little bit better than Free as a Bird, but so now they found this other tape, and apparently Paul never did anything with it because John's voice is very faint on the tape. You can hardly make it out. Well, now that there's the AI, artificial intelligence, Paul is planning to enhance John's voice, bring it out, isolate John's voice, and have this new song. And apparently it's going to be called Now and Then. I don't know if that's the official title yet, but Paul is working on it, and he said he's hinted there might be other tapes out there. So who knows, right? With artificial intelligence, this may be the wave of the future. I heard that Prince, they found another Prince song, uh, and they're doing the same thing there. And you may hear a lot of old uh, tapes, songs that are going to come out enhanced by artificial intelligence. And you wait and see. Maybe that's going to be the wave of the future. You won't be able to tell if that's the real John Lennon or if it's a fake John Lennon, right? Anyway, that's one thing Paul is working on. And there's always a lot of Beatle books out there. I remember I went to a local bookstore a few years ago looking for a book, specific book on the Beatles. And the lady there who was helping me find it, she said, they're still writing books about that. Haven't they written everything there possibly is to write about the Beatles? And she's right in one way, but there's always a different angle, a different story, you know? And there's new books coming out. Paul has he wrote a book of like 800 page volumes, 2 volumes of his lyrics and the stories behind each song, which is fascinating. That's going to be condensed down to a paperback, 600-page paperback coming out in November. And then apparently in September, there's a new biography on George Harrison coming out. I'm looking forward to that because to me, George Harrison might have been the most fascinating of Beatles. He was a very quiet guy, but he had a lot going on there. And as we saw from the film, Don't Let It Be film, Get Back, George had a lot on the ball there. So I think that's going to be a very interesting book. And then next April, the same authors who wrote the great Beatle book called The Love You Make, Peter Brown and Stephen Gaines, are putting out another book. And apparently it's all interviews, not only with the Beatles themselves, these were recorded back in the 80s, and but Beatle family, friends, people who worked for the Beatles, all telling the story of the Beatles and all interviews. So that should be kind of interesting too. So there's a lot of news going on with the Beatles nowadays. So, like I said, you'll be hearing more updates as they come out. The Beatles, not only were they very, as of course, brilliant musicians, songwriters, personalities, they changed our culture, our way of living, fashion, you name it. They were also very good businessmen too. And that continues even now, even though 2 of the Beatles are gone. It seems like almost every year, or especially around Christmas time, the Beatles always have something out there, whether it's a book, music, film, you name it. The Beatles have something out there. So they're just brilliant, brilliant guys. What I love about it too is every new generation now, discovers the Beatles. So there are younger people now who love the Beatles, who weren't around, when the Beatles were around or in their heyday. So that's kind of cool. I mean, they're going to last forever. That's for sure. Well, that's the Daily Schmooze for today. We talked about a lot of stuff. Now, tomorrow is Saturday, and I will have another program on tomorrow, but not on Sunday. Sunday, I rest. Sunday, on the 7th day, he needs to rest. So, Sunday, I'm actually supposed to go to the ball game, the Phillies game, but they're calling for violent thunderstorms here on Sunday. So I don't know if the game's going to happen. We'll see. Hopefully, if they cancel it, they do it before we ride down to Philadelphia. And So we'll see what happens there. But everybody have a great day. If you like what you hear, I don't get into politics. I don't get into the heavy stuff. This is the light stuff that there's enough craziness that's going on in the world nowadays that we could talk about that and fill up the show, right? So if you like what you hear every day, hit the subscribe button or like or whatever it is, whatever is good, just hit it. And you guys have a good day. Keep cool. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow on the Daily Schmooze. So take care for now. Bye bye.